One of the things that I love that he said, which is actually just goes back to what I was talking about with Sunny Renee Taylor, is not only are we wasting our potential in terms of what we think about, but it's worse than that. We do such a number on ourselves with our negative self-talk. We feed the self-doubt. Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It interview recap, where my co-host in life, Lesley, and I are going to dig into the restorative combo that she had with Christian de la Huerta in our last episode. If you have not yet listened to that interview, feel free to pause this right now and look at Lesley's face on YouTube, because I stole her intro, and then go back, listen to Christian and Lesley chit-chatting, which was an amazing episode. Really funny, actually. I literally laughed out loud in the grocery store while I was listening to this, and then come back and listen to this one and join us for this recap. It's worth it, y'all. It's a good one.
Oh my gosh. And you did it so well. It was your first try. That really irritates me. You did it so well, and it's your first try. I fuck it up all the time, and you did it so well in the first try.
You do amazing, love. You do so well. I love it. Today is January 4th.
No, it's my turn. It's my turn. It's my turn. It is National Can Do Day. Talk about it. Be it till you see it day. It encourages us to do things we are capable of doing and that we always dreamt of. It motivates us to concentrate on our strengths and turn our dreams into a reality through determination and willpower.
Love it. National Can Do Day.
Yeah. I love a can do attitude.
Yeah. I mean, what else? What is Be It Till You See It? What else is it? It's
I can do it. You can do it. Today we're in Sedona, Arizona. Don't you just love how that sounds?
That's the only reason I started remembering Sedona, because I kept getting stuck with all the S's. We've got Sarasota Springs. We've got Saratoga Springs, Sarasota, Florida. And then Sedona I just couldn't bring it up. But until I went Sedona, Arizona. And then I was like, it's in Arizona. It's Sedona, Arizona.
And also, we had some people who were like, I want to have lunch with you. I'm like, I know, but I want to have lunch at this one spot. And I don't even know if it's on the route, but I want to have lunch at this one spot.
I'm sure we'll figure it out.
We're going to make it happen.
It'll be good.
So if you want to drive further up the road, then we're going to have lunch at this one spot. Anyways, I'm so excited. It's the last stop.
Holy mackerel. We have been on the road for 28 days, y'all. And we will be home tonight. I know. And then I kick off Elevate tomorrow. Whoa.
And so here is the deal.
We guess we better make it home.
We have a Zoom call. Here's the deal. If you are like, fuck, I was going to do that. Elevate mentorship. I've been really wanting that. The kickoff call is something you could miss, because we actually start in February. Yeah,
the first weekend workshop is February.
My goal and hope is that this is filled with the 12 amazing people by the time that this comes out. But it is possible that you could still get in, because actually in round 3, we had a girl, Alexis, listen to this podcast. And she's like, I wonder if there's a spot. And we happened to have someone had a family emergency drop out.
Yep.
And she got their spot.
It's true.
1 week before we started. So I'm just saying, peeps, that could be you. That could be you. And my mentorship is for teachers who are tired of burning out, tired of pre-planning, tired of feeling insecure, low confidence, imposter syndrome, and also would like to understand what Joseph Ply's why behind the what was. I'm going to teach you that. So lesleylogan.co/elevate is what you want to go to.
Do it.
And then in a couple weeks,
stay tuned.
If you are on the waitlist for the Cambodia retreat.
That's right.
We only have one retreat.
Key detail there.
You have to be
those who are on the wait list.
The wait list.
On the wait list.
They get the best deal.
Yeah.
On the retreat, and it will come into your inbox in a couple of weeks, mid-January. And then if there's any spots left, we'll go public. But you won't get as good of a deal as those on wait list. So you go to lesleylogan.co/retreats, plural, retreats with an S. If you're wondering what plural means. And I don't know. Sometimes my words don't sound right. So I'll just
That's all right. You're nailing it, babe.
I'm slaying.
That'll get you on the wait list. And then we will be emailing everyone in a couple weeks, sorry. And you will get the details on when we're going to Cambodia.
And then after we celebrate my birthday, it is Agency Many number 10.
Holy
so
mackerel.
6 years of agency, our coaching group for fitness instructors, Pilates instructors, and studio owners. And our
agency is now 6
years old.
Whoa.
And you want to know something? We have still 2 of the original members.
You want to know something?
You want to know something? You want to know something? We have 2 of the original 5 members. Yes, that's right.
That's
Agency started with 5 people. 5 people. And 2 are still with us.
It's crazy.
Way to go, ladies. And then we have dozens who've been with us for 5 and then
4, 3, totally.
Oh my God. If you go, half our membership's been with us for 4, like 4 or more is like just fucking awesome. Like it's so fun to see what they're doing. We've got books launching. We've got people buying extra studios. We've got people. It's just amazing.
Yeah. So courses now, they're leading retreats. They're doing all the things. It's like really encouraging and exciting to see them build a solid foundation in their core business and then branch out. It's awesome.
But if you want 7 days of coaching, getting any question you ever had on your mind answered honestly, and you want that for $67 or less. Yeah, you heard me right. $67 or less. You want to go to Agency Mini on the wait list for its profitablehighs.com/mini.
Yeah, profitablepilates.com/mini. And I'm not going to spill the beans, but we have we've been making some changes, some very exciting changes in the program and what it's going to look like after Mini is over. So I cannot wait to reveal all of that to the Mini members.
All right. Before we get into the amazing interview that had you cracking up, I'm a little we were funny. I did love him. We have an audience question to answer.
Yes. What are the latest books that you are reading?
Yeah, I love answering this question. So you can keep saying it. We answer it every several months as it comes through because there's different books and Brad is like really into his books, but I'm going to
like super into my books. In fact, my books have taken over my podcast time and I have not listened to podcasts now in 2 months.
Whoa. I know more than you that's happening in the world.
Yeah. 100%. I'm like completely disconnected, which is really weird for me because I'm a political news junkie and I love to stay up on everything. And I have been sucked into these books that.
Do you want to tell them what the books are?
Yeah.
You go first.
Yeah. I started reading this series when I was probably 10, maybe 12. I don't know. I guess I was in middle school. So 13. Because that's when I got into 7th grade. My friends were reading them. It's a series called The Wheel of Time. It's by Robert Jordan. He kind of picked up the mantle of the epic saga that was created by the Lord of the Rings series and
well, it's the hero's journey.
Yeah. This is it goes on and on and on. But this one is amazing. Robert Jordan really took it to the next level. It's 15 books in the series, and each book is probably between 500 and 1,000 pages long. And I've been listening to them on audiobooks, and I can't recommend it enough. It is just an unbelievable journey, and it's awesome. So yeah, for me, that's what I've been really spending my free time with. And the other day I went and I downloaded a whole bunch of business books, and I looked at them and said, I do business all day for my job and my listening time is me time. And so I've been just enjoying my books.
Yeah. Well, love that. My books are all probably businessy.
That's okay. It's not a bad thing.
So I should have wrote this down. It's Tia Graham's book. Something about happy leaders. Tia Graham. What is her book? She's going to be on the podcast.
Be a happy leader.
Yes.
Stop feeling overwhelmed.
Yes. So I'm reading her book, or by the time you've listened to this, I've read her book.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it. Also, Awakening the Soul of Power is Christian's latest book. And it is also was traveled with me on this tour for me to read into, which I was already started it before I interviewed him and I'm finishing it. And then I started listening to Money, a Love Story with Kate Northrup, which is an old book,
Cool.
but I just heard about it and it made me think of We Shall Be Millionaires, and which I still want the author of We Shall Be Millionaires on this podcast. My listeners, I need your help. I need her to want to be on my podcast too.
Rachel Rogers.
She's amazing. She's amazing. And then we're actually doing the book list for next year's book club for agency members, which is completely voluntary and they're not allowed to be overwhelmed by being in the book club. They are supposed to be a responsible book clubber, which is you won't read the book if you're overwhelmed. And one of the books that we're actually thinking of bringing in is The Four Agreements.
Oh, great.
Which is
great,
an
easy
old, easy. You guys, I read it on a flight to Nashville and I finished it before the flight was over and I was a little pissed. But it's such a great, it's like essential rules to live by. I really love that one. And it makes me think of one more book that I probably mentioned before, but holy fucking moly, it's January. Let's bring it up.
I already know where you're going.
Do you?
Yeah.
The Body is Not an Apology?
No, that's not what I thought you were going to say.
Well, then you can bring that up at what I thought you thought I was going to say in a second.
I don't know the name of it, but it's the one, the
Big Leap.
No, the one where you pour coffee for two, preconceived.
Oh, shit.
You talk about
that's
this
a good
every
one.
year.
Okay. Well, let me get into all those in a second.
All right.
So The Body is Not an Apology by Sonia Renee Taylor. I highly recommend the Audible on that. She reads it herself. And then I also recommend you listening to her interview on Brene Brown's podcast years ago. I listened to it in 2020. Might have been 2021. And y'all have got to stop shaming and judging yourself about your body and punishing yourself. Nothing pissed me off more than 2 days after Thanksgiving, watching every fitness thing out there going, all right, here's your workout to burn off that turkey. We do not work out to punish ourselves for what we did 2 days ago.
Yeah.
We work out to be stronger, to have longevity, to have better posture, to have energy, stamina, strength, positivity, confidence.
Yeah.
All the things we have to. So anyways, The Body's Not an Apology is an amazing book. And I highly recommend that interview with her because it really helps you go, whoa, me being distracted by what I think people are staring at, which they're not, is keeping you from being super powerful in this world. And that's what the people in power want, because then you're not able to kick their pedestal out. Anyways, you were talking about not the Big Leap, but the other one. Oh, E Squared.
That's
E
the one.
Squared.
That's
Pam
the one.
Grout. It's a little woo, but I think you should do it because I poured coffee for two and I have a husband. I'm just...
That's the secret, y'all.
That's the secret.
You magically get a husband.
It was like chapter 4. That's actually, I don't know that it was in the book, but chapter 4 or 5 was like.
Pam Grout is going to be so excited about hearing this.
Pam Grout, come on the podcast.
Come on the podcast.
How do we get Pam Grout to get a little Google alert about us? Pam Grout. I'm going to say it one more time. But she, I don't even know if the coffee for two came from E Squared, but what did come from E Squared was me writing your name down. And hoping that you would not hoping, but like you write the name down and then like the universe makes you call me. So anyways, all those books are amazing. She has
a new one, E Cubed.
It's not that new and I haven't read it yet, but I will. Maybe I'll read that next.
All right. Now let's talk about Christian de la Huerta. Christian is a renowned spiritual teacher and transformation coach. He's an award-winning author who has spoken at universities, conferences, and TEDx talks. His latest book, Awakening the Soul of Power, explores themes of empowerment, conscious relationships, and spiritual transformation. Listening to him was so peaceful.
I know. I want him to do a sleep story. Christian, if you're listening, do you have a sleep story? If you don't, may I recommend that you just read someone else's stories, like any story. It can be Baba Black Sheep, whatever it is, and put it on Spotify. I need about 8 hours of it, and you can just be my sleep. This is my request. This is my, love him. So he's just a gentle soul. And when I was talking to him, I was like, "Oh, where are you?" And he's like, "Where am I?" He was like in Colombia, and he's living the nomad life, and I just really love that about him. He's just, he's doing his thing. And he's so easy to talk to. His book is full of all this amazing stuff. And one of the things that I love that he said, which is actually just goes back to what I was talking about with Sonny Renee Taylor, is not only are we wasting our potential in terms of what we think about, but it's worse than that. We do such a number on ourselves with our negative self-talk. We feed the self-doubt. So we are so good at overthinking negative stuff about ourselves. And then you think it's just happening in your brain. But y'all, it is happening to your body. And then it is out also affecting how you show up in this world. You are dimming your fucking light so much. People don't get to experience what you are the only person in this world who can do what you do. You're it. Yeah. And like you, I was talking with Jessica Pompano today, and we have a podcast episode coming out with her, and we were talking about how she's in clothing and styling, and like women who don't like a part of their body, they'll just wear bigger, baggier clothes to hide it. And she's like, that actually isn't making you feel good either, because you're just wearing bigger, baggier clothes. And her big thing is about highlighting your biggest asset and what that does for us. And so I say this because if you are sitting here being hard on yourself at any point in your day, you are literally holding yourself back from hitting the goals that you have, because you're slowing yourself down. Because why on earth, if you judge yourself for how you look or how you said something or how you did something, how is that also going to have the energy to like take on a new challenge? You've killed all your powerful energy. Yeah. You're still like, if you think of a video game, it's like when you get hit by like, you get that little warning shot where your power goes down, and then like you did that. That's you talking negative about yourself. And you're like, oh, but I'm going to take on this big, powerful, like boss, right? You can't do it.
I mean, I think about like Mario Kart, when you are going full speed and you got hit by a shell, your momentum is gone. And you have to work your way back up to that full speed.
And it's so much harder to do it.
Yeah.
It's so much harder. Could you win? Sure. I've won many a video game that I play with like my worst little guys, because like after hours of playing it, going, okay, here's where it's going to go. But if you were actually to be kind to yourself, talk yourself up, imagine what you could do. And look, if you're a narcissistic asshole, that's probably a dangerous thing. But if you listen to this podcast, it's because you're not. So I don't feel bad, and I'm not worried about this information being in your ears. What did you love?
Yeah. He talked about the limiting role of our ego when he was discussing the benefits of breathwork and its healing effects. You guys had a quick super side note here. I thought it was really interesting that he was raised in a super Catholic family and then got into like the healing nature of breathwork and how much of a problem his parents had with that. And instead of him like not going to be a doctor, a psychologist, that I thought was really funny. But he said that both breathwork and shamanic experiences involve transcending the limited ego mind and experience a sense of expanding identity. This is a lot for me to like be like, yeah, I'm excited about that. But
you just said shamanic, which is
I did say shamanic. It's shamanic.
Yeah, but also like I never like
shaman.
Yeah, I mean we just had a shaman on, so like we're
right.
She's a skeptical shaman.
Skeptical shaman, badass. Breathwork and shamanic experiences involve transcending the limited ego mind, and I think that's actually the clutch. That's the crux of it. Is the ego is the limiting factor, right? We all have ego, whether you are like this, verbose, arrogant, like in your face, like ego, or you're diminutive and soft spoken and whatever.
By the way, being a people pleaser is your ego.
That's what I mean. It's the opposite of the arrogant fool, but it's still ego. It's actually still ego. It's just the other side of the spectrum of ego. And we all deal with these things. And so he kind of talked about the limited ego mind, which I've never heard it phrased that way before. And how breathwork can help break through. And shamanic experiences I didn't really understand all the things he was talking about with that, but specifically the breathwork part I can relate to because that is in my life, mostly through you, Lesley. But our ego can dominate everything. It dominates the way that we perceive ourselves, the way we perceive others. And ultimately his conclusion is that it's an illusion, right? Even, and like, I thought it was interesting. Like he started to go like on another level where he's like, yeah, you're Lesley, but even Lesley is an illusion. And I was like, okay, I might not be there quite yet, but I understand where he's going with how the way we perceive ourselves, the way we define ourselves, our worldview, like however you want to call this thing, it's a story we've made up. Whether that is a story that we were taught when we were kids and we adopted and we're holding that onto today, or it's something that we've told ourselves the whole time, I just found it really interesting that his focus on breathwork was to battle ego.
Yeah, well, because the actual thing is that trauma leaves the body through movement and breath. So
right.
I'm not denouncing therapy. I fucking love my therapist, but she was also a somatic therapist. So we did a lot of different kinds of things there. But you can talk things out all you want. But if you really want to release some things in your life, it's probably happening through your movement as well. So if you find yourself crying, frustrated,
what's the book? The Body Never Forgets.
The Body Keeps the Score.
The Body Keeps the Score.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that very interesting because the movement is what released that the trauma through the book that what they were talking about in that book.
Actually, just a little side note, we actually have a course on profitable bodies that is from a true therapist, licensed therapist. That is, I was really excited to get on our site because as teachers, even to be a teacher, you guys, if you have a friend who's just like, or a family member, something like, you're like, what is happening? Like everything was good and now you're crying. And we're like, it's okay. You're okay. Everything's okay. Like with babies, they're crying like, you're okay. Sure. You're fine. What if you actually just said, how long have you been feeling this way? How long have you been feeling this way? And that's what Courtney Milletta gave us as teachers to ask people, because I've had clients and myself, like, you're just crying. And it's like, why am I crying? And you're embarrassed and all this stuff. And what the person says next can make you bottle it back up or let it go. And if you're someone who's around someone who's like having some sort of release, and oftentimes don't even know what they're releasing, because we're going back to Dr. Bender's episode. She's like, don't try to reason with what you're feeling because logic is probably going to be wrong. If you just say how long you've been feeling this way, it allows the person to just like take a moment and pause and actually kind of be with what they're feeling as opposed to bottling it back in. And as a teacher, it is actually out of my scope to therapize anyone. So the next step I could say is like, well, if you feel like this is something you are needing to work on, may I suggest a few things, right? So like, and then I can recommend, I actually cannot actually give true, like, go see this person technically. But that is something for those of you, it's a really great response in saying, it's okay, or I'm sorry. Those two phrases actually are not the best phrases as a response for someone who is releasing something from their body. And as a breathwork professional, when someone is crying in breathwork, I actually do try not to actually acknowledge it at all, because I don't want them to, I don't know what their tendencies are. So if their tendency is to do things for attention, if I were to acknowledge that, then I could be going into that. So it is more important that you just release it and then we don't attach anything to it, that you just get to let it go like a cloud going by. So at any rate, I think it's really important to know that it's okay to feel weird things when you're moving.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time since I've experienced that, because I remember the reason that I started going to yoga in the first place, because I just felt like trash, in my mind, right? Yeah. My body wasn't like hurting so much, but I just felt like a terrible human. And it took a long time to work through that, but yoga really helped me in that movement. But just bringing it back to Christian, overcoming the ego's limitation is essential for self-awareness and spiritual growth. And how do you overcome the ego? You have to understand how the ego mind works. And he has a book about that.
Yeah.
And he actually has practical steps in that book. And the book is Awakening the Soul of Power.
Okay, you guys, Gloria Estefan, she wrote a little quote for him. And I'm sorry, Christian, I'm just going to say this. I saw her name and I was like, I fucking love Gloria Estefan. So of course I'm going to read your book. But I loved it. It's so good. I'm so glad. I'm so grateful for Gloria Estefan.
Well, but in it, I thought what was interesting was that he has practical steps to understand the ego.
Yeah. Which we all need to understand, because there's tons of books on ego, but
we've talked about ego as the enemy before.
Yeah. And also, like, I'm sure it's great. I know you've read it, but I also think, like, great, it's the enemy. Now what? What do you do about that? And that's where I think Christian book comes in, because it's like, here's what the ego is and here's how you can work with it. And so you guys, if you are struggling with imposter syndrome, if you are people pleasing, if you're playing small, it's all ego.
If you're afraid to talk to people to sell them Pilates.
Right. Or if you're afraid to put your ladies, we already know this, the science is in. If you have 9 out of 10 requirements for a job, you don't apply. That's ego. The fact that you think you need your 10th thing before you can apply to something, that's your ego.
Yeah.
You know?
Or if you feel like you need another certification in order to be qualified, that's also ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Christian's amazing. I really hope we get to run into him. Christian, if you're listening,
he's like bopping around the world.
You're bopping around, but if you have like a retreat or something, like, send a girl a note.
I think he does. He did mention retreats.
Oh, we should go on one.
That would be amazing.
A vacation.
That would be amazing.
Let's do it. I'm in. Okay, I'm in.
All right.
Whatever it is, I'm in.
All right. So finally, let's talk about those beit action items. What bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted action items can we take away from your convo with Christian de la Huerta? He said, deepen your relationship with the breath, because doing so can change your life. He talked about short, long breathwork sessions, like could be 30 seconds. It could be 90 minutes. One thing he also mentioned that I thought was interesting was it's the exhale that people don't focus on, because when you don't exhale enough, you end up you're inhaling really shallow breaths.
Yeah. And Joseph Plies was really big on the exhale. He said, if you don't exhale, your lungs are a cemetery for disease and infection.
Well, I mean, it affects everything, oxygen.
Also, shallow breath just starts causing stress. So,
but, he said that it can, he talked about putting a timer on your phone where you can just take a quick evaluation of yourself, like every hour on the hour, like use that to be like, how do I feel right now? Should I do, how can that, like, what happens if you do that, And you also complimented him on, how he looks. And he's like, I attribute it to breathwork, 100%.
Because he's young. I'm just going to say.
But he's been doing this for 30 years.
How old is he? Because I think we came up with his age. And I was
he didn't say.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel like I know. And he looks really good.
Yeah. But he said that it's about becoming more mindful, attentive, and more aware of what's going on within us when you notice your breath. Mm-hmm. What about you?
Okay. So he said, we talked about missed opportunities and the things we don't attempt to do because we're fear of failure. But he actually believes there's no such thing as failure, because if you learn from it, then it's not failure at all. We're actually becoming better human beings from it. And what I really love about that is, like, if there's anything you feel you failed at, what if you actually just took a look back what you learned from that? And then can you just change that from failure to experience or achievement even? You know, like, God, you know what? I'm so pissed at the A's, straight A's, and the F's from the grades. I'm not saying I'm for everyone gets a trophy. I'm not that girl. Don't worry about it. There's a ton of psychology about how that doesn't work. But the fact that we are so obsessed as children at a certain age, it happens around junior high, 6th grade, with what letter is on your report card, which is just how you test. It has nothing to do with the journey that got you to the test, pisses me the fuck off because it made me this overachiever. It's just fucking stress case sometimes. Thank God for breathwork and my PIF mat and my red lights and all the things. But what I hope as a recovering perfectionist and overachiever that I've been able to do is like, I am very proud of how we do not harp on the goals we've missed. We really do go, well, we didn't do that. Okay, we didn't do that. We should have done this. Okay, we didn't do that. Okay, well, and like, we do it as a team, which makes it really helpful. So may I suggest, you don't have to have a teammate to do this, but before you just start harping on yourself about something you do well, I don't know, maybe you introduced yourself weirdly or you like stumbled into an interview and like you feel like you embarrassed yourself, just take a moment to go, what did I learn from that? And what if that isn't a failure? And by the way, if your best friend told you about this, would you go, you fucking failed? God, you suck. Like you wouldn't do it. So like, what would you say if your best? Jeez, you suck. Oh my God, how many times are you gonna fail? Like, what if you treated yourself in that moment like your best friend went through that? And what would you say to that person?
Yeah.
Right. So Christian, can we be friends? Okay, sign me up for the next retreat. I'm in. And also, thank you for being here. And this amazing book. It's just wonderful. And it's the next read, y'all. So check out the show notes and get your version. All right, loves. I'm Lesley Logan.
And I'm Brad Kroll. And you just missed a hilarious joke.
We're amazing.
We're amazing.
So is Christian. So are you. So how are you going to use these tips in your life? We want to know. Tag the Beit Pod. Tag Christian. He's going to want to hear from you.
Yeah.
And until next time, be it till you see it.
Bye for now.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Kroll.
It is produced and edited by the epic team at Diseño.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals and Samena Velazquez for our transcriptions.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all the content to our website. And finally to Meredith Kroll for keeping us all on point and on time.